welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about something that doesn't always sound exciting at first, but think about living here in Big Bear Lake or buying a home here. It's actually one of the most important things that you need to understand, and that is utilities and internet. Now, I know when people imagine moving to Big Bear, what they picture is the fresh mountain air, the beautiful lake views, skiing in the winter, hiking in the summer, and all of that is true and wonderful, but once you settle into life here, the practical side of things really matters. Having reliable electricity, water, gas, and especially internet service can completely shape how comfortable your life is up here. So in this video, we're going to spend some time just walking through what you need to know about utilities in Big Bear Lake. And then we'll dive into the internet side, which is the big question a lot of people have, especially now that there are so many people working remotely. And I'll share not only who the providers are, but also what locals are actually saying about their service. Because sometimes the ads and the brochures don't tell the full story. So let's start with the basics. Power in Big Bear Lake comes from Bear Valley Electric Service. Usually we call this BVES. They've been around for almost 100 years, and today they're part of the American States Water. Now, one thing that's really unique about living in the mountains is that weather plays a big role in your utilities. If you've ever been through a snowy winter up here, you know what that can mean. Heavy snow can sometimes knock out power, and strong winds are another factor. But one thing people often comment about Bear Valley Electric Service is that when outages do happen, they tend to be quick to respond. Crews are local and they know the terrain, and they're pretty efficient about getting people back online. So while yes, you might experience the occasional outage in Big Bear Lake, it's usually handled very well. Water here is provided by the City of Big Bear Lake's Department of Water and Power. Often we call this one DWP. They serve more than 15,000 customers and they draw water from local groundwater. That's one of the things that I personally like about living here is the water has a very clean taste compared to some bigger city systems. Residents often mention how much better it tastes than water in Los Angeles or San Bernardino. And because it's a smaller community-focused provider, there's a sense of accountability that you might not get in a huge metro area. Then there's natural gas, which is provided by Southwest. This is really important, especially if you're planning to be here during the winter. Big Bear Lake can get very cold. We're talking snow piled up, nights dropping below freezing. So heating isn't just a luxury, it's in here. Most homes up here rely on natural gas for their heating, and having Southwest gas means that you can heat efficiently compared to relying on only electric heaters or wood. Residents generally find the service reliable, and it makes a big difference in keeping your home comfortable through those snowy months. So those are the three essentials when it comes to utilities. BVES for electricity, DWP for water, and Southwest Gas for natural gas. Setting them up is straightforward. You own or rent here, but it's good to know ahead of time who's responsible for. Now let's move into the topic that gets the most questions, and that is internet. If you're planning to live full-time in Big Bear Lake, or even if you're buying a second home and plan to rent it out as a short-term rental, internet access can really make or break the experience. We all rely on it, whether we're working from home, streaming movies, gaming, or just keeping in touch with family. And up here, options vary depending upon where exactly your home is located. Frontier is one of the main providers, and the reason people talk about it a lot is because of their fiber service. Where it's available, Frontier Fiber is fast. We're talking speeds up to 5 or even 7 gigabytes per second in certain places. That's extremely fast, and for people working remotely or families with lots of devices, it can be a game changer. The feedback from locals who have access to Frontier Fiber is generally positive. They say the speeds are consistent and it does what it promises. The only challenge is that it's not available everywhere in Big Bear Lake. Some areas have it, some don't. So you really have to check by address. Spectrum is another big player here. That's the one that I have. And because it's cable internet, it's available to a lot of homes. Spectrum can get up to 1 gigabyte speeds, and it tends to be reliable across the valley. Families who stream a lot of movies or households with gamers often stick with Spectrum because it's consistent and it's widely available. When you ask around, most residents will tell you it does the job. And it's nice knowing you don't have to worry as much about coverage since it reaches most neighborhoods. Then there's T-Mobile home internet, which has become a really interesting option lately. It uses 5G fixed wireless wireless technology so that instead of running through traditional cables, which means coverage is almost valley-wide, and you don't have to wait in line for it to be run to your house. People like it because it's easy to set up, you usually get a plug-and-play device, and it's more affordable than some of the cable and fiber options. Realistically, speeds tend to be around 200 to 240 megabytes per second, which is plenty for most households. And the big thing you hear from locals is that they love the value of it. For the price, it gets the job done, and it's especially helpful for people who are frustrated with older DSL or couldn't get fiber. Of course, in the mountains, there are always spots that are more remote. If you're buying a cabin tucked away in the edge of the forest or in an area that doesn't have cable or fiber lines, satellite internet may be your only option. Providers like HughesNet and Viasat have been around for a while, and Starlink is a newer name everyone's talking about. Starlink in particular has become a game changer for people in rural parts of Big Bear Lake because it uses a newer satellite system with lower orbit satellites. The speeds are better compared to traditional satellite internet. People who switch to Starlink often say it finally made working from home possible, even in a cabin far from town. So how do you decide? A lot is going to depend on your needs. If you're lucky enough to have Frontier at your address, that's probably the best choice for speed and reliability. If you want something widely available and consistent, Spectrum is a safe bet. If you're budget conscious or you just want something simple and easy, T-Mobile Home Internet gets high marks for satisfaction. And if you're living off the beaten path, Starlink or another satellite option might be your best bet and your only choice. It's also worth pointing out that locals often share their experiences online, and there's a clear pattern. Frontier gets praised for speed, Spectrum gets credited for being everywhere and working consistently. T-Mobile gets highlighted for being affordable and simple, and Starlink gets love from people in remote areas who didn't have good options to begin with. So depending upon your priorities, there's probably a fit for you. Now, beyond the details of who provides what, it's important to think about what it means for daily life in Big Bear Lake. If you're moving here full time, utilities and internet are what make your home livable year round. In the winter, natural gas keeps you warm and reliable power keeps your lights and your heat running even during thunderstorms. Water is taken care of by DWP, which means that you don't have to worry about big city supply issues. And internet keeps you connected to the world outside the mountains. More and more people are making Big Bear their primary home because they can work remotely. That's only possible if you've got the right internet provider, though. If you're buying a vacation home or a short-term rental property, it's just as important. Guests expect to be able to stream movies, check their email, maybe even work a little bit while they're visiting. Having reliable internet can be the difference between a 5-star review and a complaint. And utilities are just as critical. Nobody wants to rent a cabin and then find out the heat isn't reliable in January. So when you're thinking about moving to Big Bear Lake or investing in a property up here, don't overlook utilities. They might not be the glamorous part of homeownership, but they're absolutely the backbone of comfortable living. By knowing who the providers are, what locals are saying, and what to expect, you can make decisions that fit your lifestyle and keep your Big Bear home running smoothly. Living in Big Bear Lake is truly special. It's a place where you can enjoy the beauty of the mountains, the lake, the wildlife, and the slower pace of life. But with the right setup, you don't have to give up convenience or connectivity. You can have both. The peaceful mountain lifestyle and the modern services that keep everything running behind the scenes. So that's a look at utilities and internet in Big Bear Lake. I hope this gives you a clearer picture of what to expect and helps you plan your move or your home purchase with confidence. If you have more questions about living here in Big Bear or about real estate in general, I'm always happy to help. Again, I'm Rachel Smith with RE/MAX in Big Bear, and I'll talk to you soon.